If I'm depressed, I don't want to get out of bed, my curtains are closed, it's really dark. The last thing I probably want to hear is open the curtains, get some fresh air.
I've been trying to chase to be a size 10 again since 1999. But again, my weight just fluctuates all the time and it does stress me out. But again, then when I do feel like crap, I think, oh, I may as well just eat that Kit Kat in the fridge. I'll just have that beer. Because it's just that makes you feel good.
Things are out of balance. There's usually a natural resource to pick it back up. She would starve herself on a 10-hour flight because in her mind, although the other stewardesses would eat twice, in her mind, I look like a fat bitch. Why am I eating when I'm this size? And that's how she talked to herself.
Hey guys, welcome back to Power Within. Today our topic is about the happy hormone and what it can do, and the four main chemicals what actually give us that happy hormone.
Yeah, often scientifically put into a dream team, being the oxytocin, endorphins, dopamine and serotonin.
That's the one. It's all about mind, mood and connection.
Yeah, and we all can be off balance sometimes, and I suppose today's touching on it because one of the myths when you maybe Google happiness, one, we look for it externally, but two, if you're not happy all the time, 24/7, then the myth being there's something wrong.
And it's okay not to be happy 24/7.
Yeah, the reality is these chemicals, again, for a little bit of tweaking. I know we've talked about medicines before. I'm not saying we anti them, but today there's the alternatives, how to tweak the chemicals when they're a little bit off balance.
And some do go from one to the other, and I think it's the balance of each other. So, for instance, your I can never say it.
Oxytocin.
Yeah, that's the one. It is your love hormone, and all the things what you can create, and that, when you get that feeling, hugging, kissing, even down to like stroking a pet, and that's when you can find, if you've not got a partner, a lot of people then do tend to have animals, and to love that pet and give that pet affection gives you that oxytocin.
Picturing your 5 cats and a dog.
5 cats and a dog, and that's what I got from that. I got happiness from it.
Yeah, and you do. Like, I think if you're not an animal lover, then you don't get it, but you are very connected to the nature. It's not a criticism, it's lovely to see.
I actually like being connected to the nature. Don't listen to the news, listen to the birds.
And it is, I suppose, when we again, we go back to client work and we talk about low mood, some people will label it as depression, you go to the doctors, you get medicated, each to their own if that's the route you go down. The idea of today is realising when things are out of balance, there's usually a natural resource to sort of pick it back up.
Yeah, balance it back off. So even with the serotonin, which is your mood stabilizer, even imagine that you're going on holiday, getting that sunlight. Even sometimes you might be filling your car up with fuel, and you just feel that sun come out. You go, oh, it's like it just changes your mood, and that's how I feel every time the sun's out. And I think that goes for most of the people. You do feel good when the sun's out, and that's, working in nature.
Yeah, and you can imagine it if I'll try and picture being the person that I'm working with. So if I'm depressed, I don't want to get out of bed, my curtains are closed, it's really dark. The last thing I probably want to hear is open the curtains, get some fresh air. However, it's so uplifting.
It is, but not everybody's like that either. And that's the thing, is how can we change those things? And you can change those things, but again, then they might turn to the dopamine effect, where it's comfort eating. So like eating foods, it makes you feel good. But then sometimes, because you get that feel good feeling when you're eating foods, that's when you are feeling depressed, people do go to comfort eating, because then they get that buzz of feeling good. And then they feel crap because they've eaten crap. But then they'll eat more food to make them feel good, and it just becomes that spiral. And then you become overweight, and once you're overweight, you feel crap again. So that you do.
Yeah, I said this to you earlier. Again. Like when we talk about even with dopamine and self-care, and this isn't a one conversation will fit everybody, because what I would class as self-care would be different to you, to be different to some of our friends. But when I was upstairs getting ready earlier, I weigh the same as I did 2 weeks ago, but I feel better.
Mm.
And because I feel better, I'm eating better. And because I'm eating better, I already think I look better.
Mm.
And that isn't an arrogance, because I look exactly the same as I did 2 weeks ago, or probably dislike myself. It's a bit of a harsh word, I don't dislike myself. But you know, when you can look and go, I'm a little bit heavy at the minute, I'm not training the way I want to train. What can I do? For me, I think I comfort eat. Not excessively, but if I'm a little bit lower in mood, I absolutely want comfort food.
Grab that Twix out of the fridge.
While I'm making a cup of tea, where I haven't opened that fridge for probably 2 weeks. Is that because I feel better anyway?
Mm.
I can't say it's because of the sun, because it's freaking gone back in. But when we have these conversations, when we think, right, what will we talk about today? It's never because we've got it all figured out.
No. But again, finishing that tasks. You're a big task finisher. Where sometimes I don't always need to finish a task, but that feeling of finishing the task, like even people on doing essays and studying, once they've finished it, it's a relief. Even when you finish work, it's a relief. You probably feel happy again because you've finished that task of getting up in the morning and finishing work, and now your time's your own. But even the imaginary list that we spoke about on the other podcast, that imaginary list, as soon as you've ticked all the boxes, you feel happy. But then you do create more lists in your mind to do. So you sometimes that maybe that's for the happiness to feel. I'm not sure.
Maybe because when you said that about work, I remember I had this job when I was a student. I worked at a hospital at the other side of town.
Mm.
I don't know what it was about it, because it wasn't hard. We were destroying old X-ray files that were obviously outdated. The minute I got off the bus to that job, it was like this cloud come over me, resenting my whole life. If you could have just put me in, I was going to say put me in the basement. I actually was pretty much in the basement. But I promise you now, it was like this cloud sat on me for 8 hours. My ex-partner back in the day, he got the brunt of it all because he was the closest person next to me. I was the mardiest bitch ever. And that isn't me, especially in life, in work. But I remember getting off that bus, that was it. I was horrible. Until 4 o'clock coming and across the road to get on the bus again. And it was like I was back.
Mm.
It's probably the only time I've experienced that resentment of work. Mm. And I guess I went because I wanted money. That was the only goal back then. I wanted money. So I had to suck it up. But it was like for 8 hours, I'd become a different creature. Promise. I'd done it for about 10 weeks. It was like a summer job. It's horrible, yeah.
God. And just think somebody's probably doing the exact same job. What makes them miserable? But they might end up not minding that job because there's not so much pressure in that job. It's just destroying files. But yeah, set yourself small wins. Imagine that, like we said before, small wins, small gains.
Yeah, for me, when you talk about serotonin and sunlight, even Evan's such a sun worshipper now, isn't he? I think when he realised it was going to be raining all last week, he's like, England's disgusting. This weather's horrible. Like, he's born to be on a beach somewhere in 30 degrees. He is, isn't he? And I know that's not for everybody. Some people prefer it to be cold. So this isn't, you'll get all your joy and all your balance out of one group of chemical, because that's not how the world works.
No, but sometimes when you are in like a low mood, you end up wanting that dopamine rush. And that's when people do chase that food addiction. And that's where we've worked with other clients before, where the food addiction does sometimes come in. Because when weight gain happens is because you feel in low mood, you turn to food. You turn to that food, not because you want to eat that food, it's just because that food gives you that dopamine rush. But again, so does being productive. So if you're productive and you get all them tasks done, what you need to get done, it gives you that rush of, yeah, well done, I've done that.
I've had that conversation before with weight loss in hypnotherapy. So for a lot of people, if you've not heard about hypnotherapy and what we do, or even understand it, when someone ever comes to me for weight loss, yes, that's your goal, that's your reason for reaching out. But there's usually 4 or 5 parts of your life that we need to tweak, then the weight loss happens. So what people usually think, right, if I'm going to pay for a session of hypnotherapy, my goal is to lose 2 stone, that's it. Well, you don't. You change your behaviour around food. You change your emotional behaviour around your day-to-day, what gives you joy. And you start to see yourself in that different light. I saw myself differently upstairs than I did 2 weeks ago. And if we'd go on the scales are exactly the same. So where I probably felt heavier 2 weeks ago and I was giving myself negativity, I'm still as heavy as I was, but I feel better. And I guess I'm talking to myself better.
Good. It is about self-talk as well, but maybe you've completed all your tasks.
If Vic's not on the next episode, it's because I'll probably strangle her. Maybe my tasks are done right now.
Imagine everyone's
Funny, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, endorphins, they are your pain and stress fighters. So, and about them, laughing together.
I
laugh at myself.
No, I agree with that, because I think, like, we've just had a lovely weekend in London, and again, this podcast is about connection, and we are connected. We are always most connected when it's just us two with 0 distractions. Like most couples, I guess, that isn't alien. But I said to you, I want you to take me on a date, and you stepped up and did well. I had a great weekend, but we did laugh together. And even when we joked when we saw that part of it was, I hit you with a pillow today. And what did you say?
I just said, oh, that's nice that it's nice that you're in a playful mood. Because normally it's like, pass me my tea. Yeah.
You paint me out to be an absolute witch.
I know, she's the best wife in the world.
Pass me my tea. No.
So I've made her a cup of tea.
Maybe my to-do list comes out before we've even said good morning. I don't know. I
don't know, but maybe you can reflect on that. Okay. But it's just, so this morning we woke up, I've already made us a drink, and you were getting the other pillows to put behind your head, and you whipped me with the pillows, and I went, oh, that's nice, a little bit of playfulness. And you were like, well, like as if you're moody every day. You're not moody every day, but normally it's pass my tea. Boys get a shower. Boys do this. And again, it's the to-do list.
The schedule of rushing. I don't want to rush anymore. So I don't even want a schedule. Today I've blagged a day off. I don't want us to have a schedule. I would love to be playful in the morning and hit you with a pillow. I would love to not have to rush every day. But where do we get our dopamine from, and so on? And even when we go back to self-care, I think my biggest self-care at the minute is taking half an hour into the steam room. And I said it on the other episode, but I actually get a lot of joy from that.
Good. So you should do that every day if you can.
Okay, I'm going later.
Good. You go later. And like maybe my dopamine rush is when you do go to the steam room and I can listen, I can relax.
So you're in a very giddy mood today.
Well, happy wife, happy life.
Reminded me I need some more self-reflection. Again and again.
No, I don't mean
but
that.
I think we're evolving. We're doing this podcast. This is a little bit of our therapy because we get to share maybe stuff that we don't have time for in general.
Mm-hmm.
So this, no? No?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it is. It's we unfortunately filmed one podcast and we did have a really good laugh on it, and the mics weren't even on.
And the mics weren't on, so it teaches us. Did it make us a little bit flat? Yes. What did we pick ourselves back up? We had some breakfast and refueled, and we were all good. A little bit of laughter, but yeah, going back, what makes us feel good mentally, emotionally, physically? Where I get that hit from the gym, and it's become more and more common anyway. For another person, that'd be their worst nightmare. Go to the gym and make yourself feel better. No fucking thank you.
I think the hardest thing is time, because I love going to the gym. And I have got some friends where that's what they're doing. They go to the gym twice a day, they train, and that's their job basically. For me, like, we have to squeeze a gym session in, so it means up at 5:30 to get to the gym for 6. I don't always want to do that, and I think the older I'm getting, the more I'm going, oh God, I don't want to do that, but then I have to do that because it's not that we eat really bad, but maybe just the older you get, the weight just sits different. So I look at the pictures like 10 years ago and 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I go, oh, I looked like quite trim there. And then I'm like, oh God, I don't. But then sometimes again, that self-reflection where we do have photos took as a 4. I don't normally have photos took unless it's just us 4. But then I actually still don't look that bad. But in my mind, I look terrible. And again, I think that's obviously work in progress for me.
Because you compare yourself to 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, you would have looked at yourself and gone, oh, I don't feel great.
Yeah,
and I want to look 5 years ago before. And I had this conversation with one of my clients a few months back. When she phoned me up and she said, I need to come to you, I need to get my weight in control. Fine. She painted a picture. I expected her to be obese. She come in and I'm looking thinking, I'll probably weigh the same as you. And I'm doing this work. Because in her mind, she had no control. She was an air stewardess, actually. And again, I think because she's an older woman, she would compare to all the younger ones. Now, if anyone's been flying, you'll typically see, like back in the day, I think they used to have to be a certain fit, didn't they? Yeah. Certain height, certain model, certain legs, certain this. She doesn't tick them boxes. Maybe most of the other girls do. And what she saw with her was old, slower than the others, haggard, worn out, fat. And in the work we did, I says, well, what they might see is experienced, powerhouse, someone they look up to.
Wise.
Exactly, wise, running the show. She couldn't see any of that. So that's where we sort of flipped it. Because that's what I would expect to be seeing, because she is an older person. She's 40 years in the trade. I'm going to look up to her. All she's seen, I can't walk through the airport as quick as them. My legs don't look that good. She would starve herself on a 10-hour flight. Because in her mind, although the other stewardesses would eat twice, in her mind, I look like a fat bitch. Why am I eating when I'm this size? And that's how she talked to herself. And we did some great work. And on the night, she texted me and said, and this is the privilege of doing this work. She texted me on the night and she says, Amy, I'm not sure what you've done to me. I can only liken the feeling to having 2 glasses of wine and I'm really relaxed. And good. I'm like, you're absolutely welcome. That is everything that we do it for. But that was what she felt. And I'm like, let's take away that feeling because that isn't yours anymore. Let's replace it with this. And obviously the weight started to come off. But more to the point, going back to what we were saying, I asked her to picture a time that she felt good in her own skin. And she paused for a good 30 seconds and she went, I never have. And then she went, I tell you what, when her mum, it was a big birthday last year, she says, I guess when I looked at that picture, I looked good. I said, so how did you feel? She went, like shit. And that is where the mind sabotages us and is not a true reflection, because she might have been 61. Never in 61 years did she ever look and go, I felt good. She's pretty sad. She can look back at a photo and go, I look good. I want to look like that again. And what I had to say to her, even if this work makes you look like that again, if we don't change how you feel about yourself, it doesn't matter that you look like that because you're still going to feel like this. Yeah. And that is the switch. And it's magical when it happens. But we don't sit here and go, I never, ever look bad at myself or I never talk rubbish, because we do.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I've been trying to chase to be a size 10 again since 1999. But again, I'm always going to be like 12, 14. My weight just fluctuates all the time. And it does stress me out. But again, then when I do feel like crap, I think, oh, I may as well just eat that Kit Kat in the fridge.
Yeah.
Because it's just that makes you feel good. Feeling, I'll just have that beer. When really, you don't necessarily need to turn to them. It's just a coping mechanism. So I need to maybe have a little more self-reflection myself.
Yeah, continuous self-reflection. But like, even acts of kindness, and your friend said she'd done something yesterday on the phone, which was nice to hear. I don't think people realise how much joy we get from helping somebody else. And often people will go, yeah, but what do you do it for? Well, one, because we can, but two, because the world needs to be a nicer place.
Yeah.
And your friend was on holiday, and I'm sure she won't mind me sharing that. But when you said yesterday she paid for somebody's food because she felt like she was a little bit flush, she thought she had sold something, so she felt like she had got this money, she was a little bit happy about it. So she paid for the family's dinner.
It wasn't expensive. I think she just paid for, like, they just ordered a few bits. And she just says, oh, I'll get their bill over there, which, again, she's kind of got that from me as well, because I've done that many a times. You know, like if there's a little old lady sitting there in the corner, I might just think, oh, I'll just get her bill.
I remember last year, that lady sat at Bullring. There's a restaurant out the back. Probably the most glamorous one. I want to be her when I'm old. Like, she was having lunch on her own with a glass of wine, if you remember, and she was probably 85.
Yeah.
I think she looked class. But we ended up paying and almost running off, so she didn't get to see who it was.
That's the thing, is that we do acts of kindness, but we don't always need thanking or rewarding for it. And I think sometimes that's nice. I don't always need thanking for it. I just need to probably just, and I don't know why that is.
But your friend, that isn't necessarily what she would naturally do.
No.
But she would have felt great by doing it.
She did, yeah. She felt really good.
And then she got a kick in the teeth because she hadn't actually sold what she thought she had sold. So she was, in her mind, 20 quid off. But it didn't matter because that kindness would have picked her up for the day.
Yeah, and also the people what receive that kindness is always really nice as well, because, again, not many people do little things like that. And it's only that, 20 euros, which is not that much, wasn't that much to her, but it was a lot to them. And I think that's and it doesn't always have to be rewarding with money, acts of kindness. You can do just spend time and listen to people.
Yeah, because we've talked about this probably now, one of our first episodes when we talked about paying it forward. And we've not really touched on it again since. But I generally believe there's a lot of joy from paying it forward.
Yeah,
and it usually comes back round. Like, our life is blessed. There's things we would change, which we've said before, and there's things that we've let go because we have no control over. But I feel blessed.
Yeah, our life is blessed. I am blessed with your tasks.
It's never going to be let go of now, my task list.
Imaginary task list.
I want you to let go of it.
I have. I ain't got a task list. My day is, like, quite floaty. I've got a lot to do. But, like, if I get it done, I get it done. If I don't, I don't. But again, I think my task list is at work. That's probably when I'm quite thorough, because even the smaller details that should get done, they just don't get done. But then that's me then going, oh, Jesus.
So how does it feel when it doesn't get done?
Yeah, it's annoying. But again, I have having to learn to let that go, because not everybody does the task what I want them to do. Just little bits. Little tiny bits. But it's okay.
It's okay, because we're talking about happy hormones.
Happy hormones. So what do? I do them tasks and then I'm happy again.
Because you get to tick it off.
Set them goals.
Yeah. I think for my love hormone is... What are you laughing at?
I'm not. Hit me with your oxytocin.
He's been around the kids and you.
Good.
I was going to say something nice.
What's it?
He's being surrounded by you guys. Like, even this morning, having that privilege of a little bit more time to watch Kai eat his eggs. You know what I mean? You know he's blessed through food.
Yeah. He did, he said to me upstairs this morning, he says, well, he asked for poached eggs on toast. And I was, like, sort of just doing my hair, and he went, Mum, can you do it? You do it the best. So I come down and she's already cut the toast in half, so I put the toast back together. And where he has his poached eggs on top and then just mashed up on top and then cut into 4. so he can just eat it and just put it in his mouth. And then you said to him this morning, I'll start on making poached egg like that.
Little games, like the way to his heart or a happy kid before he's even at school is food.
Food, yeah.
And so if you can know what your happy hormone is, how to rebalance it, and your kids, because they're all different, aren't they? Evan's happiest when he's challenging himself for something. Kai doesn't want to challenge himself.
No.
Kai wants good food.
Yeah, and that's it. But if on the other scale, if for instance the only thing what you do turn to is food for that dopamine rush, then the other thing that you can do is, because instead of turning to food, is try to be a bit more productive and think, well, these other tasks what I've got to get done, do them instead of turning to the food, because the food is an easy turn to, and it's an easy comfort. But that's when you do like go back onto your self-sabotage, because then you start gaining weight, and then when you gain weight, you don't want to do that self-care, and you don't want to do them tasks, because although eating food does give you that dopamine rush, it also sabotages you in the long run as well.
And I love nothing more than a curry.
I know. We haven't had one for ages.
And a beer. And then regret it the next day because I feel heavy. So in one breath, we're trying to teach you guys how to just get a little bit of benefit from this. And another breath, we're exactly the same as anyone else out there, because I would.
It's trying to balance, it's balancing them moods into. That's the thing. When it is like your mind, your mood, your connection, all them four chemicals do balance, but you've got to have everything in moderation. So sometimes you are going to feel miserable, you are going to feel sad, and that's all right as well. Enjoy it, embrace them emotions.
Yeah, even for women, especially when it's time of the month. Men probably won't want this conversation, but when it's time of the month, I think yours used to be every third month. You were horrible for a day.
I just get agitated. Agitated in the little things. Maybe because things didn't get done, or like I never didn't get the task done, or you might have done something. I'm like, oh.
But I remember, even obviously going back probably 12 years ago now, one of my closest friends used to say to me, "Is it month 3? Come on, we'll go out." Because she knew it, you know what I mean? She knew it. And so if I knew it and you knew it, then you could do what you needed for self-care. I would remove myself for a few hours.
And that's it for me. I just need peace, quiet, and even just to sit watching TV on my own sometimes, or like taking the dog for a walk, or doing the garden. Like that's kind of sometimes my self-care. You know, I don't need to get my nails done and have makeup done. I probably do, but I don't. I don't. I'm just saying my self-care is what I do. Is sometimes I'll sit outside the front in the morning. I'll feed the birds and sit outside the front, and I'll just listen to them. I don't need to listen to music. Music is good. Listening to music does give you that endorphin rush as well. But for me, I like the balance of nature, I think. That gives me, and so sometimes I don't need people. So I think maybe when I was in that agitated mode, you was there when it was nice, when she used to come and take you away, take you out for night, and take you and go and do something, play football, go to the pub, do whatever you wanted to do. But I needed probably my own space.
But back then, before this work, and I suppose this ends this conversation anyway, is that back then you didn't know that. So if somebody can take something away from this, it's what do you need when you're chemically unbalanced? And for some, that might be medication. I'm not taking that away. For you in that moment was you needed peace. Neither one of us knew that. So maybe it felt a little bit invaded.
Or maybe overwhelming, I think, sometimes for me. Because I am that person what doesn't always need a lot of people around. So it was, I always I love you always around. I'm just saying it's that time when I probably just got agitated, where I just needed my own space. And it's probably hard for somebody to turn around to a partner and go, listen, I just need some space, because then they think, well, what's wrong? Am I doing something wrong? But so it's kind of conflicting. And then the partner probably feels rejected. And then when the partner feels rejected, they think something's wrong with the relationship. And then that goes further into self-sabotage. So I never wanted to say to you, like, babe, like, I just need to breathe. And I need my own little space. I think we might have been together for about 4 or 5. We were probably already married by then. And I still never told you.
And I was just good, as you were saying that, I thought maybe we're not always perfect at still doing that. To just say, Vic, I need an hour.
Yeah. But that's all right.
Where actually it is healthy and it is okay.
Because if you said that to me, I'd be like, sweet. I can relax for an hour.
I know, but we got to get better at it as well. Like, we are a learning progress, and Power Within is teaching us. So I'm actually having fun today.
Good.
Filming.
It's the laughing together.
It has. My endorphins are through the roof. And now I'm going to do some self-care and go and get a pedicure.
And I'm going to work.
Yeah. My foot's a brass and she's got a task to do.
But anyway, guys, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Be safe.